Okay.
Well, in theory, I think will work. Yep. All right, everything appears to be working. All right, microphone's on.
So Randy, how's the school stuff coming along?
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the packet is supposed to arrive. That is what was negotiated between Bob.
Speaking for me.
No, that's negotiated between Bob, Amy, and Karen. That's what Amy said she could have it for us.
That's right.
Good. I know you got it right. I'm doing real good. I got all coached today. Sure you don't want to come? No.
7 o'clock, where are they?
Well, if we got a
It was
forum,
7 o'clock, Robert.
I don't know, I saw Patty Tuesday at voting. She said, I'll see you Wednesday. She said, yeah, 7 o'clock. I said, okay.
Thursday.
Because she was probably here yesterday.
I mean Thursday. Thursday, thank you. I'll give them a couple of minutes, and if they're not here, well, I'll just get started.
Think you got enough quorum.
Yeah, that's all I'm concerned about, is the quorum.
If someone takes the time to come, it's nice to let them know yay or nay.
Well, we might as well get started.
Rock and roll, baby.
Yeah, okay. They come, they don't, they don't. This is gonna be an informal meeting, okay? The time is 2 minutes past 7, and roll call starting to my right.
James Connolly,
Steve McKenzie.
John Panacha,
Mark Connolly.
Chip Huzzy?
Randy Bennell.
Bob Cresco. Not present is,
Hold it. Hold it. Here she comes. Here she comes.
Grand entrance, I'm sorry.
jeez, Patty.
Ah,
State your name,
sports.
state your name.
You.
Patty Porter
Thank you.
is here.
Okay.
I thought I could make it, I had to get.
We're holding up the whole meeting for you.
Yeah.
Portsmouth High, and I thought I could make it. I'm here.
Before I get into the reason why we're here, this is the expenditure reports, okay, for the final quarter of the year. I thought maybe you might be interested to see how the budget money is being spent.
That's the town report.
That's the town.
For the record.
Yes, this is for the town. Okay, and you can read that at your leisure time. The purpose of this meeting was just to be informal. We have to fill a gap. Okay, Timmy's not here. She's God knows where, in Massachusetts somewhere. Okay, so we have to fill the gap between now and March. Somebody to take her place. I have a gentleman who's very much interested in becoming on the budget committee, and that's why I called this meeting. The gentleman's name is Frank Hansler. I don't know if you know him. He lives across the street here, across from the cemetery. He belongs to the Vets Club. a very, very smart guy. He does purchasing for a lot of the hotels here in the Seacoast area. And I approached him to ask him if he'd be interested, because nobody came up with anything, so I just went ahead and did what I had to do. And he says, yeah, he said, I'd like to fill in. And it'll only, if approved by the board, that's why you're here, it'll only be here until March. And if he wants to stay any later, he'll have to go on the ballot in March to be voted by the town, by the people. So I want to recommend that we appoint Frank Hansela to the committee to fill out the rest of this term until March.
I'll make that a motion, Bob.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you. Any questions? Anybody?
Were there any other candidates that approached Charlotte?
No,
No.
nobody.
I know, and did anyone, I was trying to think who else ran last year.
Last year?
I mean, did we even have anyone that needed to run? So that,
No.
John was uncontested.
John.
John was uncontested.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, I'm not sure. I
No,
didn't-
no, you don't have to, I was
No,
just.
no, I'm saying, I think March, somebody's coming up for reelection. I think there's two or three. Are you up, Jim?
No, I was just,
No, you
I
just
think
got
it's Sharon and I.
Sharon, I know there was a couple that's, is due, is coming March, that's all. So, anyway, motion has been made to appoint Frank Hansela to the board for now. And everybody is in agreement?
well, does the position need to be filled?
Yes, it has to be filled, yeah. So,
We never received an official resignation, though.
Yes, we
Yes, you
did.
did.
We
Oh,
did.
yeah.
We did?
We did.
We did finally
We
do
did.
it.
Oh, we got one?
Yeah,
Okay.
Charlotte got it, yeah. And she sent me one too. She sent me an email.
Okay.
Explaining the reason why she gone.
Okay.
So I will let Karen know tomorrow.
Got to vote,
Hey,
just
Bob, did you
official
vote?
vote, official vote, Bob.
Excuse me?
You gotta do an official vote.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, okay.
All in favor?
All
All
in
in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All those opposed?
He's rusty after a year.
Yeah.
Boy, I
You'll
got
have
so
it
many
down
things- I got so
after
many
the
things
first
going
meeting.
on, you know. I'm supposed to be umpiring tonight, and here I am, you know.
You scheduled this meeting.
I know, this is the only night that it was available before we start the meeting.
Yeah.
Next week, and so
Yeah.
I had to take it.
That's tight, yeah.
So besides that, there was nothing really else that I want to go over. You all have, did you get your book, Patty?
I do, it's in my bag right
So
here.
everybody has a book.
what was the
Um,
sheet right here today?
Have Frank come in and get his book from Charlotte.
He did?
No, have Frank.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
That's the schedule for next Tuesday.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I was gonna bring it to him, but.
I know, you can bring it to him.
Yeah, because I'll see it.
I'll show you how easy that is.
Okay.
He's got the page in
Got
there.
everything there, okay.
Yep.
Very good. John, did you want to say something? Don Miller was telling me that.
Yeah, I did.
That you had,
Just let
you
everybody
had something
know
you
I
wanted to
did.
go over before we
Yeah, I
get
just-
started next week.
Nothing major, I'm not
No.
gonna, I think people really need to read the budget, but I think you need to really understand that, and I'll say this, that our taxes will be going up this year.
Yeah, they're going out tomorrow.
Yeah, and some are gonna be going up significantly.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, not everybody's, and also that when I went through the town budget, make sure that you look at that town budget and you understand that town budget. There's probably 2 or 3 areas, and I'm not gonna indicate what they are, I think you need to look at it, and go through it. And one thing to keep in mind, and I think that it's very important, that there is, based on what we read at the town budget, there is no growth for next year. anyway.
Right.
Okay, no, very few permits are being issued, so there's no revenue gonna be coming in.
Yep.
Any revenue that you see is here, it's gonna be here.
It's gonna be the
Okay.
registration.
And, you, need to understand, obviously, look at the budget and understand why the budget went up on the town. The school I haven't seen, but I know the school will be very financially, fiscally responsible, I would hope so, because it's, I don't see any long-term, growth coming to this town, in any sense at this point. And so you're gonna have a high tax increase, and part of that, there was a significant increase from last year, as we all know. Don't get deceived by the tax rate, because it may be lower than what you see last year, but it's not lower, it went up significantly. Okay, because of the valuation.
Valuation change.
Revaluations.
Yep.
Okay, that is absorbing, that's making the tax rate look less than
Yeah.
what it is. So if you look at the tax rates, oh yeah, the tax rate went down, look at what your bill is and look what your valuation is.
Right.
Okay, then look at what the rate increases are. So it's gonna be very deceiving. So we all have to understand that, we're here looking out for the town, not the school, not the town budget. We're looking at people who live in this town, they're gonna get hit pretty hard.
Yeah, they
And
are.
we wanna make sure, and they're gonna get hit hard next year as well, because there's gonna be a significant increase because of the library.
Yeah.
Okay? And there will be some new, I'm sure they're gonna try, they're gonna look at trying to put a fire station.
Yes, that is gonna be on the warrant article this year.
Okay, that will be a warrant article. So we not only have to take the budget, we also have to look at the warrant articles as well. Okay, that's very, very important because that ends up part of the tax rate. So from my standpoint, I'm not looking at the school I'm looking at total. And there's gonna have to be some justification for me, for any particular increases, significant ones.
That's why
Because
we
we
did.
have no control over part of it, okay? And I'm not sure, I don't have any answers. I'm just laying down what the facts are. So, and that's really all I'm gonna say, because sitting through the town, I said the same thing to the select board, that, we have to be fiscally responsible and present to the voters a reasonable budget, because once they see their tax bill, some of them, they're not gonna be happy. I don't think so.
Yeah. You are exactly right, John.
And we had some pretty big
Mine
increases.
today.
We had some pretty big increases last
They
year.
personally delivered it to you, huh?
I saved the town 50 cents. I says to Margie, give it to me, yeah, give me my envelope. I'll save you a stamp. So anyway, thank you, John. Don Miller was hoping that he would be available tonight, and he had a similar thing to say, and John and Don and John and myself got together, and he wanted to speak, so I'll let him speak. As far as next week, I hope you take advice from John and really go through this. And you've got the schedule of who's coming up first and who we're gonna see and all that stuff. It's gonna be very interesting, really, because we have a lot on our plate this year. It is what it is. So besides that, anybody have anything they want to say? James, you want to take one? Stevie, haven't seen you all summer.
I've been around. Excuse me.
Busy golfing.
Well, yeah,
You get out there a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That's
The last few weeks, though, I have not because I've been dealing with kidney stones.
Oh,
But
oh.
I don't.
Not fun.
This guy here just come back from Vegas going golfing.
Oh, you were
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You were there with the boys.
He's the big boys.
Ah.
Yeah, it was horrible.
So you're gonna handle the town budget on your own now. Just pay it all off.
All right. I wasn't that lucky.
Patty, anything you wanna say right
No.
now?
You know,
I appreciate the
when that Mega Millions
John's
jackpot was up so high, if I had won,
Yeah.
I would have taken care of this.
Of course you would. Yeah. Yeah, of course you would, Steve.
It's all a tax write-off, right?
Yeah, right.
Mark, anything you wanna say
My
right now?
my only comment is, and I haven't gone through the whole book, but I've started, and I just asked the board to be patient with me, because I'm gonna have a lot of questions.
We're all gonna have a lot of questions, Mark. But just, and one thing I want to instill in you, the same thing we did last year, let's not everybody speak at once, please. Everybody's gonna have a chance to give their opinion, ask questions. Let's not just jump in, okay? Be respectful to everybody around.
Yeah, one of the things get concerned about when I ask questions is that I think people a lot of times assume because you're asking a question, you feel one way or the other. Most of the time, I'm asking a question because I want the answer so that I can
Yeah,
decide.
decide which way you go.
Well, for the last few years, if you don't mind me,
No, go
you know,
ahead.
for the last few years, we've always had this debate about, you know, do we want to do line by line by
Yeah.
line consensus? You know, is this something we want to do? Because John brought up a lot of very valid points, you know what I mean? We've really got to take a look at it. So I think we have to be fiscally responsible here and possibly go through this line by line. That's just my opinion. It could take a long time,
Yeah,
you know,
Very long
but I just want to, you know, I don't want to sit there and have this debate during, you know what I mean? I'd like to kind of figure this out
But it depends.
prior to.
It depends, James, on which budget we're looking at.
Well, we can't pick or choose. You gotta do both, if
No,
you gotta do both, you can't do one and not the other.
You know, my feeling of it is, we could go line by line and then make notes and come up with amounts for certain things, but then after you get through it, you figure out how much you're talking about.
Mhm.
Because you know darn well that it's not gonna happen that way, line by line.
Yeah.
Any reduction or increase is not gonna go line by line, it's gonna be a bottom line budget.
Well, and I agree to that. I think if everybody reads it and looks at it, they have questions, I have certain areas that I'm gonna question. Some areas I don't care because it's pretty consistent year to year.
Right.
Yes,
And
it is.
and they're
You're
pretty
right.
fixed costs, you're not gonna change.
You're
But
right.
there's certain areas that you may wanna question.
Yes, I agree.
Whatever that is, do we go line by line in the school? No, if you see something, I mean, you certainly have a right to ask, what did you spend the money on?
That's
It
right,
is a
we
bottom
do.
line budget, and people can,
Yeah.
you know, spend that bottom line. So I'm not inclined to go line by line because somebody wants me to go line by line.
No.
Okay, you don't have to do that.
No.
Because I'll be perfectly honest with you, if somebody says that, I'm just gonna go to the salaries, I'm just reducing the salaries.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's the line I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest line. I'm not gonna,
No,
the school has played that game before, and I'll be upfront as much as I can. You gotta go line by line and cut line by line. Not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. We're not required to do it.
No,
We
we're
don't have to do it. And so. if
We have a
there's
CBA with the teachers, John,
Huh?
so we have a CBA with the teachers, so yes,
I understand.
the
that.
salaries
I
are
understand.
required
All I'm
for
saying
the
is,
teachers.
I understand that. I understand. I'll pick a line and go to that line, whatever it is. I'm not going line by line. If we think there's something off on a line, fine. But to go down a $1,000 line and cut that, we did that one year.
Yeah.
Then we cut it. We said, it took us an hour.
Yeah.
We wanted to cut 100,000.
Yeah.
We went and just said, look, you know, and it took us 2 hours to get there, and we stopped it.
Yeah.
So we need to be reasonable, okay? We need to be reasonable. If somebody has a question on a particular line item that's significant,
Then we should
then you know
discuss
what,
it.
you discuss it,
That's right.
okay?
Yeah.
But if somebody says, hey, you know, we're gonna cut this, we think you should cut the budget 200,000, you guys have the right to go and pick whatever lines you want. I think that's reasonable to ask.
It is.
It's not without
One at a time,
information,
please.
right? I mean, you gotta make informed decisions, John. You can't just, like Chip last year gave some generic, cut $2 million from the budget. You can't do that. Give it some
yeah, we
thought.
can.
Give it
I'm
some-
gonna answer that.
Easy. Let him finish.
Give it some thought. We're up for discussion. Just give it some thought. You know, Mark last year said, I thought he said it right. Let's go through these line by line and figure it out. And I felt like a lot of people didn't do that last year, so.
Because he nickel and dime. I don't want to play nickel and dime stuff, okay? I agree with what John said. Let me just say, years ago, okay, we used to sit at the tables underneath, it was that way, and we went line by line. One Saturday, we started at 8 o'clock, we didn't finish till 9 o'clock that night. Never do that again. Line by line, not interested. Unless it's something that stands out, it's a certain item, then we can discuss it, yes. But I don't want to go every nickel and dime. I just don't want to do that. It's too much consuming time. Yes, Mark?
I have one comment, one question. My comment is, last year when I made my proposal, I gave a total dollar amount.
Yep.
The only reason I listed them all line by line is because people said, well, where did you come up with that dollar amount? So I said, well, this is how I got it.
Yeah.
So I sat at home and did it line by line and came up with, if I want a nickel and dime, that's fine. And I added up all the nickels and dime and it came, I forget what it was, around $50,000. So that's my comment. My question, I guess, for John, or when we say, okay, do we think we have a responsibility if we propose that we're going to cut a certain amount? Do we believe we have a responsibility to at least tell the people whose budget we're saying we recommend cutting what our basis for making that decision is?
Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta give it an answer.
No, you gotta give an answer. I
Gotta
do
give an
agree with
answer,
that.
Mark.
That we
Oh, yeah.
think this, as you look at the budget,
Yeah,
and you think, all right, we can reduce this, a certain percentage, and you should reduce it, because also we're looking at, for the taxpayer.
Right.
If we see an 8% budget, say, look, that's totally unreasonable. By the way, other towns do the same thing. Look, we want you to hold to 2%. We don't care how you get there.
Right.
Just get there.
Exactly.
And that's no different in business, by the way. Somebody says you gotta have your budget at 2% or 3%. We don't care how you get there.
Well-
Just get there.
Well, no.
All right, so we all have gone through that.
Yeah, but if we say to somebody, look, we think you should cut $400,000 out of your budget, I think we ought to at least have some ideas of where we think that money could come.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you come to the table with a number, you better be able to support that
Exactly.
number.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna explain this, real simple, because I had a feeling this would come up tonight. For 30-plus years, the school has presented their budget with little or no time for review.
You're right.
And we had little or no time to review an $11 million budget. Therefore, Bob and Amy and Karen negotiated where it would come through, hopefully the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I still don't feel that's enough to really sit down and hammer away at it, but it's better than having it show up the day before. I will warn you, if it doesn't show up then, I probably won't have time to review it and will again recommend the bottom line cut. I personally don't have the time to take one weekend and go through an $11 million budget. I don't think anybody here sitting here does. The other thing is, a bottom line cut is a bottom line cut. It does happen in business. You'll come in, you will cut $400,000 out of your budget. Find it. You know a better way you can live without and what you can live with. That being said, what I'd like the school to do is highlight on their increases for this year, basically what we don't have any control over. The teacher pay increases,
Phys ed.
insurance, there's some other contractual things.
And we always break out discretionary versus non-discretionary, so that's fine, Chip, we'll do that.
Yep. But I totally do not accept the fact that I have to sit here when I get a budget 2 or 3 days before it's presented, that size, and told I gotta tell them when to cut, because I don't have that ability, I don't know where to cut. But I do know an 8% budget is way over what everybody else has proposed that year, way over the CIP, the CPI, sorry. And I just felt that was totally over what should be expected. The school department did a pretty good job of recovering from that. I know some people don't think that's professional, but I don't think it's professional to walk in here with that large of an increase with that little time to review it. And I think we're gonna work towards doing it better.
Concerning the time, I will suggest that anyone is welcome to our public meeting where we discuss the budget, which we have done for the last 3 weeks. So I don't recall seeing anyone from the budget committee attend those meetings.
That's where I was going tonight, right after
But-
this one.
Well, this is-
Last
this is-
week.
But
The town budget's been available for 30 days.
we're on a different system, Chip, so
I
I'm
can
just
tell
saying.
that, but I actually
I'm-
talk to people and they
listen,
don't.
I'm
they
saying
disagree
there
with
are
me.
opportunities to be involved with the budget. We have multiple meetings, public meetings around the budget, okay? So if you really want to try to get into more detail and understand what's going on, come to the public meeting to get more informed. But I agree with you, it's a large budget. I think the budget committee also needs to I think the budget committee probably needs to realize, what is the purpose of this budget committee when it comes to these budgets, right? Because we do rely on the selectmen to be the oversight committees for the town, and we rely on the school board to be the oversight committee for the school. New Hampshire doesn't require us to have a budget committee, so, we might have to want to consider not having one at all in the future, because it's difficult. I agree with you, Chip, it is difficult for you folks all who aren't in the day-to-day to understand what's going on with our budgets, so.
Well, I think an answer to that, I think the budget committee is a good oversight for those two committees. I think they, they're not involved, so they can be somewhat unbiased. Okay, if I sit through a select board meeting, I understand what you're saying, Randy. You go there, listen to the detail, and how you get to your budget, which is good. And we can do that. But if I get a budget and it's detailed properly, I can ask the legitimate questions without being biased. If I go, I may be biased, I don't know. I'd rather not be biased. And just say, how did you get here? And explain it. So I think the budget committee is a good oversight. The school budget in the town, they work very hard putting the budget. They oversee the day-to-day operation, but it's just like any other legislative body or a government body. It's just an oversight.
Yeah, no, I disagree though, John. We can agree to disagree, but you gotta remember that let's just take the town for instance. The police department goes through their budgeting process and then they have to present it to the selectmen. They're the oversight committee. And then the same thing happens with the school board. We have multiple divisions that work through the school budget, and then we're the oversight committee at the school board level. So I think this is just an added bureaucracy that doesn't need to be added to all the effort of volunteers in the community already that don't have a lot of time to do what we're trying to do here. The ultimate oversight is the public. The public comes to vote in March, they're the oversight committee. They decide if they're gonna pass it or not. So that's where
Upon
I
our
am.
recommendation.
They use your recommendation, they also use our recommendation, or the selectmen's recommendation. We can disagree with the budget committee, and we can move our budget forward with or without the budget committee's approval or recommendation. So, again, it comes down to the public. As much as everyone tried last year to cut some of those costs, the public still voted, and we know what happened, so.
I respectfully disagree with your opinion.
No, I accept that, I understand.
I just have a couple of things. Randy, are the minutes available for the budget committee, for the meetings at the school board level that you've been talking about, the budget, are they?
They're posted.
They're
They
posted?
get posted after we approve them, which will be at the next school board meeting.
Okay.
Which is when,
That would be,
I don't think they're gonna offer the detail, the minutes aren't gonna offer the details that you're looking
Okay.
for.
Do you record those meetings?
We don't.
You don't record it?
no, I just wanted to see if I could get a head start. Like I go back and I read, I don't attend the selectmen meetings, but I do read
I
all
do.
the minutes. I know you do.
Don, Bill and I, we attend the selectmen's meetings. We want to know what's going on.
The selectmen meeting, the budget committee, recorded, the minutes are available on the,
Yeah.
number one, the minutes are available on the website, within 5 business days. There are also, the recordings are available for the selectmen's meetings on the website within.
No,
2 days.
I've read
So if
them.
you have trouble sleeping, go for it.
No, they do. I go to bed right after it's the last thing. The last thing I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. But also, I do, just going back to, because I just want to make sure that I understand everything correctly going into this season, is when Mark did make his motion last year it was a bottom line number, and you made the motion for the amount, even though you had gone through and you had your amounts line by line that you wanted to question and bring up and discuss. And it was said at that meeting that it would be considered irresponsible for a bottom line flat reduction. And then you pulled out your sheet and you started going line by line. So I just want to clarify that, because when Mark made his motion, that was what someone brought up, that it would be irresponsible for a bottom line flat reduction.
I thought Karen said we're not supposed to do it that
That-
way.
It was Karen.
Which could be an RSA, an RSA.
It's not in the
No,
RSA,
it's
it's
not.
it's all a bottom line budget.
All right, that's what I'm just trying to
That's
clarify before
That's the
we.
problem with everything, it is all a bottom line
It
budget.
is, bottom line.
If we feel you should be buying lollipops and we cut that out of the budget, you still can buy lollipops, gotta pull from another line item, that's all.
Okay, I just wanted to be
That's
clear.
not bad.
Except when they zero it, I ain't figured that out yet.
Yeah. I don't know.
Some items you get zeroed.
We're stuck on our budget. At the school level, we put a certain amount of budget in a certain line item. That's all we can spend it all is in that line item, so
Yeah, school's a little
I'm
different on
not
that.
sure.
item.
Yeah, so,
I mean, if you put 0, then you can't do anything.
Yeah,
yeah, we
correct.
we can't buy, we can't buy computer, we can't buy technology if you don't budget technology.
Well, Brandy, do you know if there's anything significant coming from the school board, like in terms of like a new teacher or a new, are you looking for, am I allowed to ask this question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
know,
are.
are you guys looking to do,
Yeah, yeah, we're all in agreement where we want to be fiscally responsible. We're trying to come in as close to, as lowest as we possibly can, but we're gonna probably propose a couple of warrant articles. One is around, the school is in disrepair. Around, as you all know, the boiler, it's
The
been
boiler's
sitting there
coming up
for a
again
while.
this year.
Yeah, the
Gonna replace
boiler, and then, we're having some major leaks in our roofs. There are 2 roofs that have been, tagged as needing to be replaced. So we're going through, you know, Bob was given this a few weeks ago by Amy, where we had a total, an engineering quote of $1.9 million. And we're trying to figure out, how we can kind of piecemeal that in a little bit. What do we need to do? What can we do? So that's probably, you know, in light of that, of the maintenance requests, you know, we're not, I don't foresee us asking for any new people.
okay,
I see us trying to focus on keeping this where we can.
yeah. Yep.
The figure that you quoted me the other day, percentage-wise over last year's budget, does that include warrant articles?
I don't know that, I don't know, Bob. Yeah, I don't know. Which percent, I don't recall giving you a percentage.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
You told me that it was 4% over last year.
Yeah, no, I think that was a goal that was discussed, but I
My
gotta,
question is, does that include warrant articles?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that answer.
I'd probably say it didn't, because that's about what the
That's, what, 1.9?
CPI's
even-
going at right now is about 4%, so.
Well, even $1 million of 10 million is 10%, right? So
Yeah.
it's pretty high.
Yeah, I think what we all need to always be aware of when we approve these budgets and we go through these budgets, every year you increase that base. Then the percentage is always based on a higher base.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you went up 8% last year, that 8% is in there.
Yep.
Okay, potentially. So when you're looking at what the budget is, or you're basing your increases, your 8% is in there, so you're gonna add money every year, so it compounds every year as you add your increases. So you always have to keep that in mind when you have these large increases. I mean, there's certain reasonable increases you're gonna have, we know that, okay, but, and as far as the warrant articles, I'll just give you my opinion on warrant articles, and this is what I learned, I'm not a big fan of warrant articles. But what warrant articles do, as long as you're tracking them and making sure they're part of your increases, that it makes you spend the money on the items that the warrant article is
I meant to, that's right.
That is something that, you know, if you put it in the budget because it's a bottom line budget, if something happens, they can use that money for something else to apply. So a warrant article will actually make them spend the money on that particular issue that they have. Okay, so always keep that in mind about warrant articles. Can they get voted down? Yeah, they can get voted down. But it's also up to each to explain why they're doing it and give the facts, let the people decide. Now, we know people don't always look at it, but I think the warrant article, when they do pass, it's out in the open.
Yeah.
And you need to explain those.
Rumor was you were gonna do a bond on your big maintenance, you still looking at that?
I'm not sure what direction we're going in, Chip.
As I'm saying with the amount of money.
Randy.
Looking at the proposed CIPs, that's what I do.
Yeah, it depends how much we're trying to.
Because all those projects that are on the CIP, we're talking 20, 30, 40-year lifespans, so
Yeah.
that would be the easiest way
To do it.
A 10-year bond would probably take care of that easily and not give you that much on the tax burden.
Yeah, and we're almost out of the building bond, so
Finally,
When's that end, Randy, you know?
2020, I think.
2 more years.
You know, I mean, I think, I don't know if you can wait on some of that, on some of it you may not. I think once that bond is over, to add another one would probably be a reasonable approach to
Yeah.
fix some of that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Steve, you got something you want
I
to?
just, a comment to Randy, and I don't know how much you can do about it, but one thing I always have a problem with is the amount of money budgeted for the SAU, and we have no control over that. We have very little control over it, and I think we pay a disproportionate share of the SAU budget in Greenland.
Yeah, so,
And I don't hear anybody ever talking about looking at that or doing anything about
so
it.
there's an SAU budget meeting next Wednesday, that we're gonna be talking about the SAU budget. My book's waiting for me. But I will tell you, Steve, we go through that budget. Concerning the Greenland's share, it is based on kids, and unfortunately, we've grown while Rye has not, and they've actually lost a lot of children. So unfortunately, the Greenland now is picking up where, it's funny, Rye's had a lot of power for a long time in the SAU. It's actually come towards Greenland's way because we've got the kids. So unfortunately, it's we've gone through the calculations, the formulas before. It's unfortunately we just have more of a burden. I would say a lot of the big burden we have is on the high school tuition. So
Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy.
Was it over
It's
17,000?
absolutely crazy. 18.
Oh, my
17
God.
last year.
What was that? What are they proposing this year, Randy?
I haven't got the final numbers yet, but no, it was close to 18.
Well, you're absolutely right. The unfortunate part is, that was always the biggest argument. We have no say, we pay no
No.
money. I think when I started, it was like about 12 or 13. And we would have a pretty reasonable budget without that. I mean, obviously, we have to send that somewhere. But I don't know if there's a way to negotiate it, if the formula can be changed. I've never seen the numbers being put, the actual numbers that being put into the formula. I see,
That actually was something that was brought up the last three
Last
times during the
Yeah.
process, budget process, was having someone come in and explain how they come up with the numbers. So
well, they have a pro forma, but the pro forma, well, here's the pro forma, here's how it's supposed to be formulated. Well, where are the numbers? Give me the numbers you're actually using to come up with that 18,000. Well, maybe that's reasonable, maybe it isn't, I don't know. But,
I got that last year
so,
from the high school.
It's so Portsmouth, I mean, it's the total budget for the Portsmouth High School.
Yeah.
And we evenly divide it by the number of children.
For
So
a town.
Portsmouth kids pay the same tuition that us and Rye do. So we all equally split the Portsmouth High School budget. The problem is the high school budget.
right, we don't control that.
No.
That's the problem. And that's gonna be that's always the biggest issue, because you can't really do much about it. And that just keeps escalating every year.
But I don't think I don't think they pick on Greenland per se.
No.
But, it is a part of their budget and it's always changing.
We just
like
happen,
ours is always
we
changing.
just happen to have the most kids per town.
Sure.
Except for Portsmouth, going there.
Sure.
We have how many in school now? 426 at the middle school?
At the
Middle school?
Oh, at the middle school, yeah, 426.
426, okay. And we have about 150, 155 kids from Greenland going to the high school.
Yeah, about
Somewhere.
50 a class, so it's
Yeah.
like 200.
So,
I mean, I think the biggest hits on the budget, the high school is one, the
Yeah.
salaries, you have an agreement, so.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the special ed, because I can.
Special ed, no
I don't
control.
even know where that is this year, but I know that's gone up significantly as well.
It's a huge burden on our budget,
Yeah.
is special education.
But when you have no control over that, that's the state.
Both the
There's
SAU,
nothing we can do.
both the SAU and the high school numbers, you say that they're equally distributed among students. Well, there is a certain base amount, infrastructure, that that community and the SAU, and the communities in the SAU should be bearing, because those are costs that they incur, whether they're 10 kids or 100 kids. And then you should get to a point where there's an incremental cost per student.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also,
I mean, Portsmouth is riding on our coattails for some of their base costs that they would incur no matter what.
Right, cost of the building.
yeah,
Well, I thought that's where the
Administration.
was, that they had they accounted for that type of, those type of amounts. You know, that, we shouldn't be covering all their fixed costs, because they would have those fixed costs no matter what.
I've got that information at home. I'm gonna look it up this weekend and bring it. And-
Well, I would guess that they had
You can look at it if you want, the formula, how they come about. with
Well,
charges.
I wanna see the numbers that they're using. I know the formula, I've had the formula, I wanna see the actual numbers that they're using to come out with that number, so whatever those numbers are. The actual
Can you
numbers.
get that for us, maybe?
Yeah,
By any chance?
yeah,
One school board to the other.
yeah, well,
If you could.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I know we asked one year, they just thought they didn't give it to us. I don't think they've ever given
Well,
it.
that was Catherine.
I think Amy has it.
Amy-
I think
Amy-
Somebody's gotta have it,
Amy's
make
got
sure
it.
it's right.
No, I think Amy already has it.
Yeah, she does.
Well, we get a bill from them too, and we verify all the kids that are on
Yeah.
that bill. So we do
Well,
a
you
few
ain't showing up
things.
to class, you take out back and beat, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of kids leave, a lot of high school kids leave Greenland this year, but not significant.
Anybody else got anything they wanna say while we're here, before I
Yeah,
adjourn?
because,
Go ahead, Ray.
can I make one suggestion? Because Mark, I mean, if we do have questions, is anyone opposed to giving it to that body, those questions prior to our meeting, just to maybe save on some time, so they can come prepared? Because the same thing goes for me, if there's, I mean, the SAU, the high school tuition,
It should go to one person for each body. Like, it should go to Karen of the town,
okay?
and then you can decide who it's gonna go to for you guys.
No, yeah, I just didn't know if that would be easier if we had questions for the town and for the school.
I think
It's gotta filter through
Prior to
Charlotte
that,
first.
yeah,
though.
meeting.
It's gotta go through Charlotte first.
Yeah.
Charlotte, okay. Is that okay? So that's something we can do?
That's
All
fine.
right.
I mean, you go through the budget, you have some pretty good ideas of the key areas that where you have the large increases. And I think the school, just getting the actual numbers would make me, or may not make me happy, but at least give me some comfort level that they're not throwing 18,000 out there.
Right.
So I'll ask that question. And I don't want the pro forma where 20 years ago numbers in, I want the actual numbers. Now, if they don't have
Yeah.
2018 or whatever, I mean, they know how they're getting that number.
No, I tried a couple of years ago, John, to get the high school numbers out of the Portsmouth public report.
Yeah.
And they don't break it down by high school. They break it down in way different areas that you can't figure out how much it costs for the high school versus the elementary schools that they have. They just bundle in so many different areas, so, including special ed, for instance. So I think that makes it difficult for us. But they do break it out to give us the ultimate bill.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the invoices, how they, it's really not a whole lot on the invoice. They give you the kids, here's what it costs, and you gotta check your kids, make sure those kids are in there, I understand that, but, what numbers, I mean, they have a budget, they have the actual, so they're putting those numbers in. So they have to, and I'm sure the administrator there has a formula, whether it's an Excel or how he's coming up with that. I mean, that is public information, and I think we have a right to ask for that. That doesn't mean we're gonna change it, but at least we all know what the facts
Know
are.
what it is.
That's all.
I got one special education question. So Greenland's obviously responsible for special education students within the Greenland Central School, right? When that child goes to Portsmouth, is Greenland still responsible for that special
Yes, we are.
education student?
We are.
We are.
to 20, I think it's 25.
Yeah.
To the 25, 21 or 25 years old.
Yeah.
We're responsible.
Yeah.
So
One
then Portsmouth
thing-
would be responsible for their, and it's not part of the
Even though-
overall
yeah,
tuition, it's, you're responsible for your.
Even though they
your
provide,
children.
even though they provide the services, we're
We're still gonna pay.
we're still paying them, and we have oversight as to how the programs run.
One thing that gripes me to know, and it has nothing to do with our budget, but, well, it does indirectly. Is in all of these political contests, nobody ever asked congressmen and senators why they won't fund mandated special ed requirements that they came up with and put the burden on the towns to do it.
Yeah.
That is a crime as far as I'm concerned.
Ask our rep, that's Dennis Malloy.
No, I agree, Steve. And
Well,
we're
he doesn't-
losing money.
He's a state rep. I'm talking federal.
Oh,
The feds just cut our money again, going in, that goes to the state, that comes to us through special education. So we are losing some funding already again on, just like we did last year, on,
Nobody ever questions him about it.
Well, not only special education, there are other things that the town is responsible for that the state mandates the town does within the school. Not just special education, you know,
I mean,
there's
Yeah,
a lot.
of stuff. Yeah, any
bus transportation.
EPA regulations, I mean, there's a lot of stuff mandated we don't get.
What did I ask you? What about changing the Greenland Central School start time? Has that been talked about at all? Is that
There's a
solid?
survey.
There's a survey.
A survey went out, but we're still,
You still,
the challenges we have is the bus.
the buses, yeah.
Because we share them with Stratum.
well,
Yeah, and the costs, we are going into negotiations with the bus.
Okay.
The bus contract, but it all comes down to, can we make it work financially?
Yep.
Did it cost us extra money for the high schools? Did we have to add a bus?
Mhm.
Yeah, we did.
$50,000.
Another 50,000?
yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, did they subtract that from our bill? Because the kids in Greenland who drive to school get screwed because they didn't, because they're in the traffic every morning.
Yeah.
So my daughter who lives there, she didn't get that extra hour of sleep because they all had to drive in and they hit that rush hour traffic.
That
So
traffic.
basically, they ended up with maybe 20 minutes extra.
Yeah.
That's all they did, so it didn't help Greenland at all.
I had 3 daughters that went to the high school, I drove them. The hell with the bus.
Yeah, I know she didn't get the bus, but I'm just saying that it really now, in the
It's
rush
because
hour
it's later in the
traffic-
day, that's what.
Then rush hour
Maybe
traffic.
Ford
going
Fairlane
home,
in
going to
1962.
school, coming to-
Big
getting
kids.
out of the tree.
The Pella.
Seatbelts and then like we're being
So we wonder why the 33 corridor is so busy now, because you got all the high school students on the road as well.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of cars, a
A lot
lot
of
of cars,
cars, it's just
it's
ridiculous.
unbelievable.
Did you see that comment in the Seacoast Online that VP made?
What?
Over at,
$1,000.
People of Greenland need to look at this from a
There's
5,000
some-
foot view.
There was some
You know,
talk about that last
basically,
year.
look
I
at the
was
jobs
wondering
we're
if
bringing.
That just passed.
improved
I
it.
don't think it's effective till
Yeah,
next year.
what's
Oh,
that?
yeah.
It's nothing to do with the job, it has something to do
Is
with
it-
They did.
You talking about Keno?
infrastructure
Yeah.
inside.
And there are too many conversations going on,
Yeah.
Charles, gonna get lost.
Sorry.
You talking about Keno?
The money, yeah, the
County
reimbursement money.
Keno. We're getting a regular total from the state. I don't think Keno actually went into effect until what, next
I
year?
think it's next year.
Next year. The towns that have it.
Okay,
We don't have it because there's no place to put it.
But it doesn't matter, I mean, the Keno
We're still
money is
gonna get it
supposed to be
regardless.
divided, no matter whether you have it or
We're
not.
getting a certain percentage of monies right now.
okay,
Yeah, we haven't got a check yet, so.
not a check yet, I was just, yeah. that's what
So
I
they
was-
pay
Checks in the
the
mail.
full amount, or they just pay a percentage
It's supposed to pay per student.
Yeah.
per student?
Yeah.
We all set?
I'm all set.
Well set.
We adjourn?
I want
Move to
to
adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Charlotte, the meeting adjourned at 10 minutes of 8. Thank you very
Order any
much.
off, so we'll say anything you ask me.
Thank you everybody for showing up, appreciate it. I'll see you next week, next Tuesday. Okay?
Yep.
And we'll get right to work, real quick.
All right, see everybody next